Totem pole, 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 totem pole.
Hello, everybody. Recording live from somewhere.
For the clock.
Totem Pole Nation Life Lessons Podcast. We have a very special guest, my former college football agent, and we are going to sign again with Howard Shatsky for Howard to be our agent for Totem Pole Nation when we get paid again from YouTube. But Coach Bald, how excited are you to have Howard Shatsky on today?
Man, that is breaking news. Who does not want a lawyer on their side? Holy cow. Everybody, trust me, you're always going to need a lawyer on your side. So to have Howard here, man, it's phenomenal. Me and him could talk for hours. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I could definitely use some advice. This man right here, check this out. Not only has he been the lawyer for Hall of Fame defensive lineman, still holds the sack record, Mr. Michael Strahan, but also the Philadelphia Eagle. Is that correct? Bryant Westbrook?
Yes.
Wow.
Villanova's finest.
So, Howard.
Brian's probably the best player ever to play at Villanova.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Undersized, but you know what? It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
He honestly was not much taller than I was.
Mm.
And I could tell you a million stories about Brian. Brian was an interesting guy. And he did not like signing autographs to the point where we were at the Super Bowl and he had an appearance for Motorola that was worth a significant amount of money. And the NFLPA messed up. They didn't send a car for us. So we're standing there. We don't even know what to do. And this was when they were in Tampa for the Super Bowl. So these people come up to us and they say, listen, we know you're going to be a little worried about this, but we can assure you we're not a bunch of lunatics. We work for the Eagles charity. We have a van and we'd like to help you and Brian out. So we get on the road and there is so much traffic in Tampa. I'm like, we're never going to make it. So we see a cop. He sees that we have Westbrook in the car. He goes, man, I wish you would have got here a minute earlier. I could have let you go over this bridge, and that would have got you right there. He goes, wow. Literally about to light fireworks off, so I can't let you go over the bridge. But what I can do, I'm going to radio ahead, and I want you to be very careful, and I want you guys to drive all the way there on the shoulder. So we finally get there, and wouldn't you know it, the NFLPA again sent us to the wrong location. So now this is also the night we're taking Brian's whole family out to dinner. And he has no intention on being late for this dinner, especially because he knows we're picking up the check. So we finally get there, and there's a line of about 300-400 people waiting to get his autograph. And he just looks at me and goes, I'm not getting out of the truck. And he goes, it'll make me look bad. He goes, and we're not being late for that dinner. And I'm thinking, we got to get out of here within like 15 minutes, you know? So I said to him, you know, Brian, I went up to the guy from Motorola, and he already knew it wasn't our fault. And I got to tell you, if I was spending this kind of cash, I wouldn't have wanted to pay it. But he tells me, look, I'll cut the line down to 25 people. All I want to do is sign 25 autographs, take a few pictures, and you guys can get out of here. So I'm thinking, we're golden, you know? I go back to the truck. I tell that to Brian. He looks at me, he goes, nope, I'm not doing it. So now I got to reach deep, because even though I'm not charging on this, I cannot let him lose that amount of cash.
Yeah.
So I go, listen, Brian, forget about Motorola, forget about the NFLPA. I'm asking you to do me a favor and get out of this truck and do that. And he doesn't even say yes. He just gives a big sigh, gets out of the truck, and you would have never known that he was irritated. Next thing you know, he's in public. The smile comes on. He's kissing babies. He's taking photos. And we were literally out of there in 15 minutes.
Wow.
And he gets back in the truck and looks at me and goes, are you happy now?
Wow.
And it's official. I just cash apped Howard the money. Totem Pole Nation has re-signed with Howard Shatsky.
Well,
Coach Ball.
That's great, because my Cash App is currently screwed up. So let's hope I can fix it.
Lita, hey guys, please watch the documentary Europa the Last Battle. It's a long doc, but it's worth it, okay? I watched some of that Europa the Last Battle, okay?
What was that about?
It's a controversial documentary there, Howard Shatsky. It's about how Hitler had a problem with the Rothschilds. It wasn't really about a world war. It was basically Hitler versus the banks. Okay, kind of like a conspiracy theory, World War II, Holocaust type documentary. I mean, hey, but thank you very much for recommending that. But Rebecca came on here last night and challenged Lambo. Lambo Calrissian. He had to name every Super Bowl winner in a row, and he did it. And he knows every score from 1999 on. Would you like to test Lambo, Howard?
No, because I would not know if he was correct, and I would have zero chance at being able to recognize that.
Yes. And I'm telling you, on Dick Gregory's grave, it says that he found out the way that brought him happiness was to help others. And I am excited. I have offered Howard Shatsky the opportunity to come on here every morning with us and share life lessons. Lambo, how do you feel about that? Lambo's at Raising Cane's. Huh?
I'm happy. I'm excited. And we're trying to put in some work.
Okay, so Coach Ball, how do you feel about having Howard on and him being able to give back and share his story, his life lessons, his testimony with Totem Pole Nation?
Hey, man, we're breaking news. We're breaking news. Have access to a quality lawyer like him, just a quality being that has been around the world, done traveling.
Oh, I don't know. Everybody.
Very into sports and everything. I could not be more fired up to have him on board
Yes.
with us, man. I really appreciate it, Howard.
And I'm going to recommend to my friend Basil Lewis that he hire Howard Shatsky to be his agent. I'm going to recommend that. I'm going to tell Basil that Totem Pole just signed with Howard. Howard, how are you feeling right now being on here with us?
Oh, I know you.
You know, like you said, for me, it's bittersweet because, you know, what you asked me to talk about is kind of a hard topic for me. But, you know, like I told you, you know, one of the things, my wife committed suicide a little over a year ago. And, you know, given the fact that happened, I at least try to make some good come out of that from that. And I think that's what she would want. And I think she'd be telling Troy the story about how there's a grief forum that I post things in. And ironically, about a month ago, someone said to me, I don't know if you realize, but the way you write and with your words are so genuine and honest, you're becoming someone that can really help others who are along this horrible journey. And about a week and a half later, I got a message through Facebook from somebody who said that she was meditating, and I popped up into her head, and I was open to it. She'd like to tell me some things, and she basically told me that she was getting ready to kill herself, and she had a plan to do it. With anxiety her whole life, and when she read what I wrote about my wife, she realized that if she went through with her plan, she would destroy her husband and children. And she basically told me that by reading what you wrote, that helped save my life.
Man, what a powerful story. Coach Bald, you are a certified life coach. How does that make you feel hearing that?
That's one of the reasons that, I got into life coaching is because I just had a lot of difficult situations that, have been different, terrible, brutal, but I'm still here. And I think being able to speak on it, maybe it'll help one person, but if it helps one person, it'll be worth it. Sharing your testimonies, and Howard, you coming on here and being vulnerable, I just commend you for that, because what most men do not do is express their feelings, share their emotions, share their heartache, share their pain. But to be able to do that,
And
everybody else.
I'll tell you something, Coach. That's one of the reasons why male suicides have been going up, because when we're going through stuff in our generation, we were taught that men should up, men shouldn't show their feelings. But we now know, now that we know a lot more about mental health, you need to share your feelings in order to get better, one. And two, you need to let your support network know, hey, I'm not doing okay and I need your help. And once you open up like that to people, you would be surprised at how many people open up back and say, man, I never said anything to you, but I'm going through this, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. And I think that isolating becomes a problem. And you see this in football a lot too, because there's so much pressure. Both the coaches and the players, I think, should have access to the best psychiatric care we could help them get, because it's an extremely stressful profession. You can lose your job at any time. They're always looking to replace you. And it's the same way for the coaches also. If the head guy gets fired, you could have done a great job, but you're getting fired too.
Man, Howard, I am so happy. The man from Seoul, my friend I was telling you about, he loves mambo sauce. He loves DC. And Paul, I sent Howard all of Basil's information that I have access to, because Howard was my agent when I was a college football coach.
Well, I got to ask him then, have you ever been to near Howard University, Ben's Chili Bowl?
No, I haven't.
Man, that place is famous. Even Obama went there.
We need to go.
Yeah,
we're coming up to see you.
Now, I went to the restaurant next door. and the owners own that place. And I was with the head coach from Howard, who I was representing at the time, and who I think is one of the funniest people on earth, was doing some kind of event in Ben's Chili Bowl. And I was possessed with getting in there to meet him. And I was able to work my way in because I'm an agent. I got through the front door, but I really needed my guy with me because then we could have got ourselves introduced. And he says to me, "You really care about meeting Kevin Hart?" And I go, "I love Kevin. I think he's the best comedian there is. You're damn right I want to meet him." And he goes, "Well, I don't care." And he won't get up and help me now. So I go by myself and start snapping pictures as close as I can of Kevin Hart. Now, where those pictures are today, I couldn't tell you. It's like my 1969 Topps Mickey Mantle. It's somewhere in this house, and I'd love to find it. I did find Hank Aaron today, though.
Man, so Paul, how are you feeling? I told him you're a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Army, and you love mambo sauce, you love DC food. He lives 30 minutes from Georgetown, and the man from Seoul, Howard, went to George Mason University.
Okay, they had about 10, 15 years ago, they had a major run in the tournament, and that got George Mason really on the map, and they still celebrate those guys there. I'm sure
Absolutely.
you know all about that.
I sure do. It's a totally different the school that I went to. I mean, that brought a lot of money and it brought a lot of applications for enrollment to the university to the school. And I mean, they got money everywhere there. But no, it was a good thing, and it helps us former alums to now people recognize the school nationally. I have to get. I mean, speaking of Georgetown, um, um, and food. Have you ever been to the Mexican restaurant across the street from the Mormon temple, right on the
No,
corner?
but I will tell you, I'm from Jersey, and whenever I'd be on the ride home and see that Mormon temple, I'd say to myself, "Thank God this drive is almost over." And everybody around here, just so you know, we refer to the Mormon temple as Disneyland because
Amen.
that's what it looks like when you're driving on the highway.
Yeah.
And I had a client when I was representing players. He actually signed the first big free agent deal in the NFL. He was a quarterback named Scott Mitchell.
Yes.
Yes.
He came down to see us in Baltimore, and he actually drove down. He's the only person I know that's been inside that Mormon temple. And he said it was beautiful.
Well, I'm sure Lambo could sneak in there. Hey, Paul, I'm not just bragging on Howard, but Howard was Michael Strahan's player agent and Brian Westbrook's. Is that impressive or what?
That's a home run.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what would be more impressive?
Yes.
If I was still representing him and getting a percentage of that Good Morning America.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Because that's way more than the New York Giants money.
Howard,
he's making significantly more than he did play in football, and he doesn't have to get beat up.
Yeah.
Howard, I've been on this thing about teaching kids that the people on screens, TV screens, computer screens, cell phones, people on screens are no smarter than you. People on screens, they don't look that much different than you because they got filters, they got Photoshop and all that. I mean,
no, but I will tell you what, the people you see on TV and stuff, there's a reason why Michael Strahan is where he is. It's just like in football. The best players are not necessarily the ones with the most talent.
yes,
they're the hardest workers.
Life lesson.
And
Life lesson.
Michael Strahan is a guy who could sit back and literally do nothing for the rest of his life. But you see how often he's on television doing different shows. He has an agency called SMAC. They signed Stefan Diggs the other day. They work with Coach Prime. So Michael has businesses that people don't even realize that he's involved with.
Yeah, and his clothing line at JCPenney's.
Yeah, I tried to. There's an app called Whatnot, and I actually bought a piece of his clothing, and they screwed me over and never sent it to me. So
wow.
But given the relationship, I do expect some freebies to be thrown away.
Coach Bald, how are you feeling?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. I'm glad to have Howard on here and hearing his testimony and everything, man. I'm proud of you for coming on and reaching out to Coach Taylor, man. That's just how he is. All you got to do is hit him up. He's the only guy I know in America that has put his phone number on every social media, and especially when Richmond, Virginia's favorite MC, Mad Skills, told him, do not put your information on the internet.
I don't
His
care.
phone number is on the internet. He's a very reasonable guy. And, yeah, man, that's what it's all about, collaborating and everything. That's what a good team does. If a teammate, makes a mistake or has a bad day, he's got his other brothers to pick him up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what this unit has done. And especially these other three guys that are up here with me. Right now, our mom has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So when a family member, and especially your mom, has cancer, basically you do too. You're going through it as well. So these guys, I had to put the ball down for a minute, but these guys have picked up the ball. They've been blocking for each other, throwing it back and forth, and just keeping the rock going. And that's what it's all about. That's what that brotherhood is. And like you say, man, these days, mental health, especially with men, you need other men that you can talk to about things and about getting over. And it's healing just hearing what you're saying. It's healing just hearing that other people's God is bad too, but they're still fighting the good fight.
Well, there's always going to be someone that has it better off than you, but there's always going to be someone that has it worse. And my therapist calls it taking a moment of gratitude. And every now and then, even though you may not have everything you want, you need to be thankful for the things you do have.
Amen.
For example, like I worry about finances, but I also have a roof over my head and I know where my next meal's coming from. And there are a lot of people who can't say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And there were times we prayed for moments like that. Ain't it right, Howard? We prayed over our head. We prayed to know what we had food,
I think we really have an obligation to be the best friends that we can be, especially to our friends that need help.
Yes. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Paul, we are assembling a strong team. I told Howard that he needs to come on here with us every morning for Life Lessons podcast. Justin Whitlock, right. Thank you, Justin. Howard, I don't know if Paul was listening earlier, but would you like to just tell him a little bit about what you've been going through in the last couple years?
Well, it's been a tough, year and a half. And, I see Rebecca's comment about her learning disability and people making fun of her, and shame on those people. You should never do that to somebody. And Rebecca, what I would tell you is I would let that go in one ear and out the other ear. And the people that feel that way, you don't need to associate with them. And you can find people that will be behind you and support you. And those are the people you got to try to be around. And like Troy and I were discussing this morning, when you go through life as a 28-year-old, 38-year-old, 30-year-old, you think that people are always going to be there for you. And the older you get, they have this saying, which I firmly believe in: the older you get, the smaller your inner circle becomes. Because along the way, people disappoint you, or they say things to you that aren't good for your mental health, and you end up not relying on them anymore. So I think having a support network is extremely important, and that applies not to just what we're talking to, but I think that's a big thing in sports right now. And I think the good teams focus a lot on that.
Okay, so Justin says, I love when I see all my brothers from other mothers coming together, speaking positive. I love it. Keep it up. And Justin Willock says that he is subscribed to Totem Pole Nation. Rebecca says, my mom's name is Rebecca, and it's her account, but my real name is Mason, and he's 11. And I'm living at my mom's. Okay, that's good. Ghouls, how you doing, Ghouls? So, Howard, were you able to get to what you've been going through? Paul, I don't think Paul was on. Paul, were you on when he was talking?
I was not.
Okay.
Well, in about the last 18 months, first I lost my dad, and then I couldn't really mourn my father because about 4 months later, that's when my wife committed suicide. And obviously she was going through a bad time before that, so it was hard for me to even discuss my feelings about my father not being here. And then, during that time, I also lost 2 dogs, and then recently had a 1-year-old puppy die. So,
wow.
In the last, 18 months, I've lost my dad, 3 dogs, and my wife. And that's affected pretty much every area of my life.
Yeah, Howard, going through that, it's almost impossible to fully mourn over everything that is not here with you anymore, and that's why.
And if I told you all the details, you'd know why it was impossible to mourn. Unfortunately, her family was not real good to her during this ordeal, and they put it all on me. And then not only to put it on me, but since I'm the only one who ever got a therapist and ever got her any help, how they blame me for her suicide is astounding to me. And if that makes them feel better with the guilt they have, I know that's not true. So it bothers me, but you have no control over how other people feel. So the only thing I can do is, when somebody does to you what they did, I don't think you'll ever forget it. But the goal is to not have it in the front of your head, so you're not thinking about it all the time, but get it to move to the back of your head.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, Paul, what are you thinking after Howard shared his testimony with us and what he's been through? Your dog just recently got hit by a car and survived. Would you like to share that story with Howard?
Yeah, I thought she was a goner. She ran out and got hit, and I mean, 9 days later, she's just bouncing off the wall, and I got to slow her down because her pelvis is still cracked. But I will get back to, I mean, I've not dealt with. I mean, I just lost my father a couple of years ago, and you just tragic and dramatic things that ever happened inside the family, just family members and just people in general. But what I would say is this, and I used to tell my soldiers this is, when people feel guilt, misery likes company. So if I'm miserable and I'm guilty of things that I've done, I want you to be right in the same bus with me. But the trick is to get off the bus and take your own bus or drive yourself
Mm.
until you find a group of people that are good company and not trying to bring you into misery and the guilt that they feel.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you made that reference because that leads me to one of my favorite sayings. When things are going good, everybody wants to ride in the limo with you.
Wow.
When the limo breaks down and you have to walk the next 10 miles, that's
Man.
when you find out who your real friends are.
Absolutely.
A friend in need is a
Absolutely.
friend indeed. So, Paul, I mean, how are you feeling about Totem Pole Nation and the Life Lessons podcast with the addition of Howard Shatsky? He could sit here and tell stories all day. He's got years upon years of representing professional athletes. Doesn't this is just, it's like adding you to the Life Lessons podcast. That was just like a match made in heaven.
It gets better every day, and there's not a day that goes by that I come on here and I don't learn something. Whether it's from a quote of the day from one of our
MK.
fans, or just the inside of guests that we've brought on. Every single person that's been on here, I've learned something from and applied it to my own life. And because that's another thing that I've learned along the way is if you if you're if you're a better listener than you are a speaker, man, you're gonna learn a lot to put in your kit bag. And I heard a story this morning on
Sports Junkies?
no, right before that, Amy that comes on, she comes on like 2 in the morning, but she was talking to a guy that actually played a round of golf with Willie Mays, and Willie Mays beat him. But he said the one thing he remembered from Willie Mays is everything he said. He was listening to every single word that he said, and he invited him to his house. They went out to dinner, but the memory he has of Willie Mays is he listened to every single word you said.
Wow.
And nobody has a bad thing to say about him. And he was 93 years old. So active listening is better than being a galvanizing speaker.
That's what they say about Belichick. Belichick is the greatest listener of all time. And Howard, you've spent some time with Bill Parcells, being a Jersey guy, and Al Groh and Bill Belichick and Strahan. Here's a name for you, Howard. Dick Rabine. He was the quarterback coach that told Belichick to draft Tom Brady. He coached for the Giants for a while. Did you know Dick Rabine? And you've met Belichick and Parcells. So talk a little bit about them and their listening skills.
I had a very close relationship with Parcells, and he taught me a lot of things. And, one thing that I always admired about Bill, in the entire time that I was an agent, he never lied to me.
Wow.
Not one time.
Wow.
Now, he did threaten to wipe us off the face of the earth when he got pissed off one time. He did tell me to go F myself many times, but he taught me a lot of lessons. And I remember when I was very young and I went to speak with Scott Pioli, who became the GM of the Patriots, but at the time was just a scout for the Jets. And I said to Scott, why the fuck does Parcells keep doing this shit to me? I said, I'm really getting tired of this. And he said,
How old were you, Howard, then when you said that?
About 24, 25. You got to remember,
age. You knew it all.
Growing up in Jersey, he was a hero to me.
Mm-hmm.
So Pioli tells me, listen, he gets a big smile on his face and he laughs and he says, let me explain a few things to you. He goes, first of all, he only does that stuff to people he likes.
Wow.
So when you get nervous is when he stops doing that stuff.
Woo!
That means you either pissed him off about something or he doesn't like you anymore.
Huh.
And then he throws this one in at the very end. He goes, and do yourself a favor. Next time he's lighting you up like that, just look at him and tell him to go fuck himself. And I said, I can't do that. Are you out of your mind? And he goes, I'm telling you, do what I'm telling you to do. So we're in there one day negotiating a contract, and we picked a bad day to come because they had lost on Sunday. So as I said on the car ride home, we are never coming here the day they lost the game again.
That's great advice.
Because his staff was so happy to see us because they knew that Bill always got in a good mood when we weren't around and he had been killing them. So we're sitting at the desk and the guy I work with and Bill, they're bullshitting in the corner, and Mike Tannenbaum and I are working out the contract.
Wow.
Every 5 minutes, Bill looks over and goes, are you fucking guys almost finished already? And I used to get that to get myself more money. I'd say, Mike, we got to get this done. I said, please just give in on this. He's going to kill both of us. And finally, after about the third or fourth time, I said, you know what? I'm going to test out what Pioli said. And I turned my head and I looked at him and I said, you know what, Bill? If you would shut the fuck up, we would probably be done already and already be at lunch. So why don't you just let us finish this up? And I saw this little smirk come on his face. And that told me that Scott had given me the exact correct advice.
Wow.
And that by doing that, I had gained a little respect from him because he never expected that I would throw that out there.
Man, we are assembling a strong team, aren't we, Coach Bald? I mean, this team that we have assembled, I will put head to head with almost anybody on the planet. Coach Bald, what do you think?
Let's do it, man. Let's go. This is the Bob Squad.
I mean, because Howard, you're going to be such a resource during NFL. I mean, you have so much information to give. We can stream this right to your Facebook. We can stream this right to your Twitter. And, you know, you're just representing football coaches right now. But I told you before, everybody wants to be a content creator. Everybody wants to be the next YouTuber and the next live streamer. We have so many people that follow us, and they need representation. They need someone who is a lawyer that can look over contracts. Dylan, I mean, he's down in Tallahassee. And I thought we were just talking to middle schoolers, Howard, but we're not. He's a roofer in Tallahassee. So, I mean, Howard, talk about how important it is to have a lawyer like yourself, an agent, someone who represents you, because you know those guys on that other side, they're not about the player. They're not about the coach. They're not about the content creator. So talk about how important is that in these contracts that they make you sign.
I think it's very important because their goal is to pay you as little as possible. They're not looking to, you know, give you the most amount of money they can. They're looking to give you the least amount of money they can.
Oh, yes.
So, and, you know, I think one thing that's important is, you know, when you have someone like Lambo, who is a content creator.
Yes, he is.
People who haven't done that or don't know how to do that, can learn and pick up lessons from him on how to do that. And
Yes.
people that are struggling can pick up lessons from Coach Bald, who's a life coach. So, it's not just about sport. Even though we probably have 100 years combined experience in football between the people that are on this podcast right now.
Yes.
I think just as important, there's a lot of life lessons and things about resiliency that are important because, like I always tell people, the process for me to get even one client, first I got to reach out to about 10 or 15 people. Then out of those 10 or 15, I got to hope that 5 or 6 of them get back to me. Then out of those 5 or 6, I got to hope that I sign 1, maybe 2 of them if I'm lucky. So if you can't accept hearing no a lot, then you really can't work in sports.
Ooh.
And you have to be able to take those no's and use them as lessons and bounce back from those.
Amen. I mean, we just met a young lady who graduated from Radford in sports management, and she wants to be like what is it, Paul? She wants to be like the in-between innings, the fan engagement. I mean, she needs someone like you because if she's going to do that, they're going to give her a contract. And I think you represent football coaches, but I think there's a market out there. Dylan says, "What's up, Coach Bald? Haven't seen you in a while. Glad that all are together." I think adding Howard Shatsky was a key addition to Team Totem Pole. I mean, and this autograph company, I don't think I told you this, Howard, but Autograph wanted us to work for them. And I haven't heard back. Autograph is owned by Tom Brady and some other lawyer guy.
Yeah, there's a big market right now for trading cards, and the money, there's a lot of money in trading cards now. And the market has really been exploding, especially now. The prices aren't as high now as they were during COVID.
Yeah.
People are sitting at home with nothing to do. So people got back into the hobby back then. And I told you there's an app called Whatnot, and I see people selling incredible amounts of cards. But again, it's just like content creating. It's not easy to do. You have to build up a following. I know a guy, probably the biggest guy on the entire app. And we got to be friendly because it just so happens in his office building, he works right next door to an agent that I was good friends with. So we had a connection right away. And I've seen what this guy does on Whatnot with trading cards, and it's amazing to me.
Wow.
But it took him a while. He's one of 2 people that I'll go in there and see 400 or 500 people in his room when he's streaming. There are people that struggle to get 5 people in the room.
Yes.
So
we have 51 people watching us right now. 52.
Nothing is easy.
Nothing.
And anything that's worth doing is going to take some effort. And like he told me, when he first started, he would get 2 people in the room, 3 people in the room. And given what I see he's built up, I have trouble even imagining that was once the case. But that's an area that I'm really looking into to try and figure out a way to monetize.
Well, you're beginning the process right now by building the Howard Shatsky brand, coming on here every morning on Life Lessons Podcast, sharing your stories, sharing your testimony, helping others. This is what Life Lessons is all about. Number one, we want to change what, Lambo?
We want to change lives. 2, we want to help others. And 3, we want to build champions.
There you go. Howard, how does that make you feel?
You know, I'll be honest with you. Right now, those are kind of things that I could use in my life, you know, because having gone through this tough time, you know, like we discussed this morning, Troy, I have times where I'll be 100%, but there are also times where I'm struggling still.
Well, that's why I'm going to be adding you to the Totem Pole group chat with me and Paul and Lambo and Coach Bald and Brandon Toms. And we've been so blessed, Howard, to start to develop a community of Totem Pole Nation. I mean, Dylan, DCL, Rebecca. I mean, welcome to the family, Howard. Paul, you're smiling over there.
Rebecca,
how are you feeling, Paul?
Rebecca, just a little advice. That rookie Brock Purdy you have, you might want to send that card to PSA and get it graded.
Coach Bald, we might need to bring back Totem Pole cards. I mean, Paul, how are you feeling, Paul? Are you amazed? Are you excited? Do you have any questions for Howard? I know that brain of yours.
You know what I'm thinking about right now? I don't know why. It's just I was thinking about you know my favorite reality TV show called the NFL, and I was just going, man, I got so many questions for him, but I'm not. I'm gonna reserve them for football season.
Well, when are you gonna pick me up and we're going to Mambo Sauce Land?
You just hit my addiction right there. There's not a reality TV show that I don't watch.
Wow. Lambo, what are you thinking, Lambo? What are you saying?
I want y'all to take me to get some mumbo sauce. When are we going to get some mumbo sauce?
You got to get out of Raising Cane's first. All right. Once you get out of Raising Cane's, we'll go to the mumbo sauce.
Hey, I'll tell you what. If you want some real quick, get some Raising Cane's chicken tenders. Take them home. Drive by Walmart, get you some mambo sauce, and dip them in there. I bet you'll never dip your chicken tenders in anything else again.
I never tried mambo sauce, but I am a big chicken tender fan.
Wow.
I use my air fryer now to make them.
Dylan said mambo sauce, more like Cane's Fried Chicken. What location you working at so I can drive through? Yeah, he's in Chester, Virginia on used to be Jefferson Davis Turnpike. Now it's Route 1. Rebecca said, Lambo, can you tell everybody what the 2013 and 2015 Super Bowls, who won?
All right, Super Bowl. So 2013, we have Denver versus Seattle. It is 43-8. 2015 Super Bowl, we had Carolina and Denver Broncos. Score was 24-10.
He's the football rain man, Howard. I mean, Howard, this guy has talent, dude. He is a content creator. Howard, this is a guy you could sell. Not all these loser coaches that, go and try to get another agent. Like, Lambo is loyal, isn't he, Kyle? Coach Bald, how are you feeling, Coach Bald, today? Coming back to Life Lessons and having this surprise.
Come talk first lawyer of the NIL. With all that NIL money, do you want your family getting the raw deal? I don't do. So you need to talk to Howard Scanton. He is the NIL money lawyer. You don't want to get the raw deal. That's where my thought process is. There's so much NIL money out there. These people don't want to get messed up. Can we call you about that, Howard?
Talk about that, Howard. NIL time.
Everybody in America is now calling themselves an NIL agent. So it's, kind of like the Wild West out there right now.
But they don't have a law degree like you do. That's That don't make no sense. That's like a snake oil salesman. I mean, what do you think, Howard? Give some advice.
You know, you got guys like Caleb Williams that have already made like $12 million. And, you know, the thing for NFL teams is going to be, you know, they got to look at these kids now and say, this kid's already set for life. Is he's still going to have that motivation to be a great player? So it adds a whole nother level to this thing.
DCL, Howard is an agent. Howard is a lawyer. Howard represented football players like Michael Strahan and Brian Westbrook. He represented football coaches. Some of the biggest name football coaches today used Howard. Look at this. Dylan is watching from Australia. Okay? Because if it's true, that's awesome. I mean, Howard, you called me this morning. I text messaged you about my friend who got a raw deal from Nike. And Paul, you're amazed by that story. And I sent it to Howard. But you know what, Howard? This morning you told me that you sometimes wake up in the middle of the night. Talk about that and the other people that suffer from insomnia.
Well, for me, it's not really insomnia. You know, I have chronic pain, and combined with my anxiety, you know, I'll often wake up at 3:30 in the morning, which it's awfully tough to function after that. And, you know, it's one of those things where at 3:30 in the morning, there's really no one for you to call to talk to, you know? So it's tough, and you got to find ways to get yourself out of that headspace. And that's one of the things I'm working on now.
DCL says, any tips on how to deal with insomnia or, you know, waking up in the middle of the night? You told me about decluttering your room.
The tips that I've been given are, you know, don't drink caffeine after like 8 p.m. Put your phone down. Stop looking at your screen. Do something to relax other than watch television before you go to bed. Read a book for half an hour or something that's going to, you know, when you read a book, you get lost in the story. So anything bad that might be going on in your life that would keep you up, you tend to stop thinking. And if you just stay there and don't put anything in motion, it's going to be awfully hard to get past that feeling, is what I've learned.
Man.
Keep your room dark as well. You want your room completely dark.
I mean, Coach Bald's wife owns St. Pete Rejuvenate, and they specialize in ketamine infusion for chronic pain and depression. Coach Bald, would you like to talk about ketamine infusions?
I'd actually like to talk with Coach Bald about that product.
Wow.
That's been recommended to me. And the only hesitation I have about it is I've been told that when you do it, you have to have someone drive you. And now that I don't have a wife, I would be spending a fortune on Ubers.
Well, we can get you get a plane ticket to St. Petersburg, and Coach Bald will go pick you up and take you, and you can stay at his crib. Look at that backyard. Show him, Coach Bald. Show him that backyard.
I got to be honest with you. The one place I'm thinking about moving right now is Florida.
Woo!
And I'm not really ready to make that decision right now, but my mom lives in Lake Worth, and I have a lot of friends in the Delray Boca area. So I think Florida is where I'd like to eventually end up.
What a blessing. Dylan, $1.99 to Totem Pole Nation.
But
Go ahead.
If Coach Ball lived near me, I'd be going over to his house for life coaching lessons, and I'd be trying to get some help from his wife.
Yeah.
Man, you could definitely make that happen back on Totem Pole Nation. We did a podcast. We had a professional wrestler that did the ketamine infusion, and you can find it. He went by, I think if you just type in Totem Pole Nation, and then
I'll send him the message. I'll send it to him.
we'll send you the
You know, my hesitation was
on it.
you gotta, in the beginning, you gotta go a lot of times, and you're gonna be there for an hour or two.
Correct.
And then I'm gonna have to Uber both ways back and forth because I don't have anybody to take me now.
Right. Well, we had a client recently that after the first the first time they came in and got the infusion done, they came the very next day, and his mom brought him, 25-year-old, his mom, and said, I have not seen him this happy in 10 years.
Wow.
Years.
We're gonna have to talk about that then, because
Good. Hey, it's almost like hitting the reset button. Like when the boys are playing the video games, you hit the reset button. Man, that's how it is, you know.
The pain I have prevents me from doing a lot of things, and if I could reduce the pain by 10%, I'd be able to accomplish a lot more.
Man.
I'll tell you what, my friend, the professional wrestler, I'm blessed that he takes me to these legend luncheons with him. We'll get in there, and guess what, Howard? Everybody is moving around with canes, with walkers. Dude, he's walking around there like he's ready to go, get back in the ring and do one more match. You know what I mean?
That's fantastic.
Changed his life, man. Health is wealth, man. That's kind of our mentality at the clinic.
Yes. So tell them a little bit about the ketamine infusions. What does it entail, Kyle? I mean, y'all take people home and pick them up and everything. What have y'all found out?
Basically you would need, from your doctor, a note saying that you can do this. And then once we get you there,
my psychiatrist has already recommended.
Once you get there, basically we would want you to have a playlist of music that makes you feel good. So you'll have that. You'll get eye covers.
I'm old. I can tell you right now, it would be all people like Bruce Springsteen and Billy Joel.
Yes. And some John Bon Jovi, Jersey guys.
I'm a big Bon Jovi fan.
Yes.
I actually met him at Sean Landetta's wedding. He was
wow.
He was
Sean Landetta.
He was a very, very nice guy.
Are kickers football players?
No.
Yes, that's right. That's right, Paul. Kickers aren't football players. Bill Parcells would say that.
They're Justin Tucker's a football player.
Because he played another position, right?
No, because he can bang them from 60 on a consistent basis.
Hello.
And win games for you.
Hello.
I'm wrong again.
Hello, you are. Yeah, because they're not football players till you need them to make a field goal for you.
Correct.
Troy.
Kyle, talk about the ketamine infusion. I mean,
I got to tell you guys a little story. I remember when Sean blew his knee out. You know when the return guy comes and the last guy left is the punter. So Sean goes to make the tackle and blows his ACL. And he was so fucking pissed off. He said to me, you know what? I don't fucking get paid to tackle. He goes, this is never happening again. Yeah. And you would watch Giants game, and some guy would get past everybody, and Sean would go and pretend that he was trying to make the tackle and do something like trip and fall down. Because there was no way that he was trying to take a chance on blowing his knee again making a tackle when he's paid to kick the ball, not make tackles.
Yep. Wow.
Amazing.
Evan McPherson is a stud.
This might be my favorite Life Lessons podcast we've ever done, Paul.
And
I mean,
now do you guys know what the big trend is with punters? Can anybody tell me?
What?
They're bringing in all these Australian guys.
Why not?
And they can punt the ball 19 different ways and literally get that thing to stop on a dime.
And
So you're going to see a lot more kickers from foreign countries.
Amazing. I mean, Howard, we're at an hour right now. We will be back on here at 7:30 a.m. And you just text me your email address and I'll teach you how to get on here, but I'll send you the link every morning so you can come on. I mean, Paul, Howard, Coach Bald, anything y'all want to say before we come off here? This has been my favorite episode we've ever done.
No, it's been pretty good. I really appreciate you sending me a link and let me hop on. This is, like I said, it just gets better. It just gets better. And I'm learning and like a tremendous amount every day. Can't wait the football season.
Howard, man,
I got a question for the man from Seoul.
Yes, sir.
Other than eating chicken tenders with mambo sauce, what do you actually do for a living?
I don't do that. I'm retired. You're retired from the military, and I
Can I be
take
honest?
take care of my.
That's the job I really want. Retired.
Well, we're going to do everything we can to help you get there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's the best kept secret in America that no one told me about, and then I'm like, wow, what? Why didn't anyone tell me it's going to be this good?
You know, I had a friend recently tell me a story that someone said to him, and because he asked him, when are you going to stop working? And the guy goes, I don't know, I'm not really sure. And he's like a year or two older than me, so he's going to be 65. And what he said to my boy was, listen, realistically, we only have about 20 years left. And why would you want to work? Like, if you don't have to, you got to get to the point where you can enjoy your glory years, you know, because I got a lot of money in my 401k that I don't want to spend. But like one of my friends said to me yesterday, you don't want to take it with you when you die. So like at some point you got to start spending it. But I'm one of those people, you know, because I saw so many players go bankrupt that made millions of dollars. I really worry about the future and being all right when I'm 80, God willing, I make it to that long.
Mm-hmm. Paul, what are you thinking? I mean, Howard, he has an elite mind. He was a lieutenant colonel. He's always thinking. He's always processing information. He doesn't just spew off the mouth like me.
Well, since he's in the military, I got to ask you a question.
Go ahead, sir.
I forget the general's name, but it was somebody, it started with like Mac, and he went to the place where they do the hook 'em horns, and he gave a graduation speech where he talked about what he had to go through in SEAL training, and it was one of the best speeches that I've ever heard.
Wow.
And he talked about how, you know, the kids there are the future and could change the world.
Ooh.
And then he gave a simple tip, and
Yep.
it's a famous speech. Everybody's heard it.
Like, make your bed in the morning, guy.
Talked about exactly.
Yes.
That's what
Yep.
I was going to say.
Yep.
The way you should start off every day is making your bed.
Yep.
Because at least then, if you have a shitty day,
Hmm.
when you go to lay your head down at night, you can get into a fresh made bed.
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
So you heard that speech.
I sure did. Yep.
Now,
Yeah,
was
absolutely. That was one of the best.
the most
One,
motivating
actually,
thing?
the best I've heard. The graduation speeches. But but again, it's simplicity. You know, Roger Federer gave one the other day that simplicity, but it was powerful.
And what
That
did Roger Federer say?
Roger Federer, what he said, Roger Federer was like he asked the graduates at Dartmouth how many what percentage of matches do they think he won, and no one answered. He's like I won over 80% of my matches, but he goes, how many points of those matches did I win over my career? And he said 54%. So he goes, I was 50 for 50 for points, but I won 80% of my matches, meaning um, you're going to lose half of your battles, but it's how you move on to the next point and prepare yourself for that moment in time to try to get a win. And if you lose, you have to move on to the next point. You
and
can't dwell.
that's what I was talking about before. That's what you call resiliency.
Mhm. And that made him a champion. His resiliency made him a Hall of Fame champion. But he lost half of the points that he ever played in his life.
I didn't know that. That surprises me.
Hmm.
So, Coach Bald, send us out with St. Pete Rejuvenate. We'll press end and we'll stay on here and talk a little bit off air between you and Howard if you can, Coach Bald.
Yeah, hey Howard, definitely check out that podcast that we had on here explaining ketamine. But yeah, huge shout out to St. Pete Rejuvenate. You know, we do ketamine infusions for people with PTSD, anxiety, chronic. It's been a game changer. You know, and that's the thing, that depression, it creeps up on people, and when it gets dark, man, it's the worst thing possible. A lot of these medicines that they'll try to give you are terrible for your body. Might take 2-3 weeks to kick in. When you're at that depressed state, you don't feel like 2-3 weeks. You don't even got that in you. So give us a phone call. We'll give you a consultation and see if we can't get you in there. But hot time of the year, people are working outside. You don't want to be falling out at work or anything like that. We also do IV hydration therapy. That's been a game changer as well. Our mom does chemotherapy. She has a stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Sometimes we'll get her and she's lethargic. We got to carry her in the house. As soon as we're done pumping the vitamins in her, she feels phenomenal. She's doing well. She's up. She's moving. So it's great to see it working on her as well. And yeah, weight loss, people that want to lose weight, beach season here, that happen. B12 shots if you need a little energy. But yeah, give us a call. Rejuvenate. You know, health is wealth. You only got one shot at it. But guys, to the next episode. Appreciate all you guys. And yeah, I'm gonna stay on with you guys.
I just need you to relocate to Maryland now.
Hey, you know what? An office up there would be good. If somebody wants to buy the concept of what we have, hit up St. Pete Rejuvenate. We got the blueprint, we got the model, but we ain't sharing it. You got to come buy it.
Yeah. I mean, he can get a plane ticket for what? How much can he fly from D.C. to St. Pete?
You know what? If you check Allegiant Airlines, it's probably less than $50. Yeah. Yep. Allegiant Airlines flies you right into Clearwater.
What a beautiful podcast. All right. We're going to be back on here tomorrow at 7:30.